Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andrew from AR Media. In tonight's video, I'm going to do something new. So in the community tab a couple of days ago, you guys should have seen it in your subscriber feed, but I did a poll on if you guys wanted to do a Q&A session, and the answer was yes, and I told you guys to leave a comment below with your questions, so I have them all here. So let's go over these and I'm going to answer them. Let's get to it. So first up is, what do you do for a living aside from YouTube? So aside from YouTube, I work in IT. So I'm a system administrator, meaning I work with server administration, network administration, anything in the IT field relating to computers. And I absolutely love it. If anybody else works in that field, definitely comment below. I love linking with other people who work in the field. Movie Master asks, what is all the awesome stuff you have in the background? Thank you very much for saying that. These are some NECA figures, some pop figures. They're really all different movie merchandise or TV figures. I like to put this on my desk. I feel like it adds to the video and just switches up the background. And personally, I still enjoy these toys. Caesar asks, what are your thoughts on the Xbox One X as a 4K Blu-ray player? As a 4K Blu-ray player, I think it's okay. Definitely not the best. I prefer a standalone player, but as a machine, I think the Xbox One X is a beast. I love doing 4K HDR gaming on it, and Netflix 4K and all that looks great on it, but as a 4K Blu-ray player, I mean, it gets the job done, but a standalone player is just better in my eyes. Jermaine asks, can you use still shots on movies you review and talk more about the depth and the detail? I could definitely talk more about the depth and the detail in upcoming reviews and use some still shots. The only reason I've avoided this in the past is, one, because of the copyright. I don't want to get any strikes on the channel, and two, because I personally don't like this. I don't like watching reviews and seeing little clips and little snippets. That's personally why I prefer reviewers like Chris Stuckman, who doesn't do that, because I want to see everything fresh in my eyes. I don't mind if someone talks about it, but I feel like seeing it, it really changes the experience. Luke asks, how many Blu-rays including 4K do you currently own, and are you ever going to do a Blu-ray collection video? So I own a lot of Blu-rays and 4Ks altogether, probably around 600, and my 4K count is probably around 200, maybe closer to 250. And as far as the Blu-ray collection video, yes, I'm going to do a 2000 updated 4K Blu-ray collection video soon, but I do have other collection videos you could check out if you want. Greg asks, do you still buy regular Blu-rays, for example, Criterion, Arrow, Scream Factory releases that you may not think comes to 4K? Actually, that's really funny because I actually just picked up 4 Scream Factory titles today. So I'm actually a huge Scream Factory and Arrow and Criterion fan, specifically Arrow and Scream Factory. As you guys know, I love horror. I love their special editions. I love the booklets and the posters it comes up with. I have tons of them. So I'm actually going to do a Scream Factory collection video soon. But I also do have a video from about a year ago with most of my Arrow and Scream Factory collection where I go a little bit more in depth. But the answer is yes. I still buy Blu-rays all the time, but specifically from those studios, almost every release, as well as A24 is another studio that I really enjoy the Blu-rays they put out. Thomas asked, do you think 4K 3D would be a good idea? Yes, I think it would be a good idea. I just think it would be very hard for them to execute, if not impossible. And the thing is, I wouldn't want them releasing an early product that wouldn't be very good. I would only want them releasing it if it was absolutely perfected, which sadly I don't see. Antoine asks, what do you use as a good reference disc? Now really my go-to reference disc are Blue Planet 2 and Planet Earth 2. They both look just so phenomenal, and everybody that sees it is so wowed by it. But if I'm going to throw a movie in, I'll usually throw in Passengers. I've thrown that in quite a bit. Or Lucy. Both of those look absolutely fantastic and usually impress whoever watches it. E. Waller asks, can you start doing more Apple TV 4K reviews? Maybe compare them to the 4K Blu-ray as well. Yes, for sure I will do more Apple TV 4K reviews. I love my Apple TV 4K, and any release really that doesn't hit disc in 4K, if it hits iTunes in 4K, I have been buying it. So I've been reviewing things such as The Florida Project, The Disaster Artist, stuff like that. So I will keep those going, and I will keep the comparison to the disc as well, and maybe start adding those into the disc a little more, comparing the streaming version to the physical. B Wise asks, since classic movies are being re-released on 4K like Gladiator, are there any other classic movies you would like to see released in 4K? Oh, that's a good question. And one actually does come to mind that I've watched recently and is a favorite of mine, and that's Rosemary's Baby. I know that that's not really an eye-popping visual movie, but it's one of my favorite movies. It is a classic horror movie that is timeless in my eyes and really is just so effective. And the Criterion release already looks fantastic, so I don't think that a 4K version would be so far-fetched. Mike asks, please tell me, are you still keeping your Oppo 203? I see that they also went up in price on eBay. Mike, yes, I'm definitely keeping my Oppo 203, and I'm probably planning on purchasing another. I love my Oppo 203, and they're going to continue firmware updates. They're going to continue support. No doubt in my mind about that, and I'm going to actually purchase another one for the other TV I have in my room. John asks, is the Samsung 9500 on the same level as the Panasonic 4K player in picture quality? I would say no. The Panasonic actually beats out every other player in the picture quality department, according to most AV tests. Now, I do not have the technical equipment to do anything like that, but according to some reports, the Panasonic has actually the best picture quality. So no, the Samsung will not be as good, and if anything, you're going to want to look for something like the Cambridge or the Oppo instead of the Samsung. After my last Samsung player, I just can't recommend them anymore. Jason asks, what's your favorite movie of all time? My favorite movie of all time is definitely Donnie Darko, without a doubt. So for those who don't know, that was one of Jake Gyllenhaal's first films, and I absolutely love the movie. There's no way for me to even describe it. The plot is really out there. The movie has a lot of twists and turns. It's definitely a mind-bending movie, but I love it. I've seen it hundreds of times, and it is by far my favorite movie of all time. I got Frank the Bunny right behind me on my desk at all times. The World of Flash asks, will you be getting Game of Thrones in 4K? Yes, I will be getting Game of Thrones in 4K for sure, and I will be reviewing it, and this will actually be my first time watching Game of Thrones, so it'll be very interesting for me to watch it for the first time in 4K, with Dolby Atmos, mind you. Slightly Lifted 20 asks, what made you decide to start a YouTube channel, and what specifically won reviewing movies? Now, this is a really hard one, because what really made me start is the inspirations, of course, like Chris Stuckman, MKBHD, Linus Tech Tips. Now, I used to really just watch them all the time, you know, clearly just working my IT job like I always did. And one day I just decided to kind of take that push and record myself. I recorded 3 videos in one day and just uploaded them. I knew that I would get a ton of crap from friends, and I just honestly didn't care. And now I'm sitting here today with 4,100 and something of you watching, and I am beyond grateful. YouTube completely changed my life. It completely changed how I feel about myself. I really owe so much to YouTube and owe so much to you guys. I really owe everything to you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. And for anybody out there who is hesitant and thinking about starting a YouTube channel, get to it, make some videos, throw them up there. Believe me, it'll catch on quicker than you think when you find your niche. Pat asked, do you recommend mastered in 4K Blu-rays such as The Thing in comparison to waiting for the actual release? So I actually have both copies of The Thing. I have the Arrow Edition 4K scan and the Scream Factory Edition 4K scan. So I definitely think go pick that up. Do not wait for a 4K release. They both look wonderful and come with awesome extras. Brian asked, what was your favorite movie watching experience? That one I actually have to go with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's a Jim Carrey movie that was always a favorite of mine. I still watch it at least a couple of times a year. Let me know down below if any of you guys like that movie as well as Donnie Darko. I'd love to discuss that with some of my subscribers below. Frederick asks, what's your favorite movie to fall asleep to? So it's actually not a movie, but I definitely have a favorite thing to fall asleep to, and that's the TV show How I Met Your Mother. That is probably my all-time favorite show. I have watched that season 1 through season 9 countless times. I love that show. Some of my friends even call me Ted, but yeah. That's definitely the show I fall asleep to. Craig asks, a lot of films are being re-released in 4K this year. Which are you looking forward to the most? I'm definitely looking forward to the most, without a doubt, The Matrix. I love The Matrix growing up, and I cannot wait to see how that comes out on the 4K format. I feel like they're going to do a fantastic job with that transfer, and I'm just hoping for great things. The movie to me is just a classic, all-time classic, and I'm hoping they do the whole trilogy eventually, but just really happy that that one is being re-released in 4K. Teletubby Dipsy asks, what Xbox game do you want to be made into 4K the most? That's a hard one, but I would actually say that I would really like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like a combination of all the originals, 1, 2, 3, just remastered in 4K. I love those games. Those are games from my childhood that I absolutely love. Don't get me wrong, I still play a lot of games now, but I just haven't gotten an experience like that. Skate's great, SSX is great as well for more recent games, but just a remastered 4K Tony Hawk with all the original levels would be my all-time dream 4K Xbox game. Timothy asks, is there a type of movie that you don't like, and if so, why? So he's talking about genre. He says like family, sci-fi. Not specifically, there isn't a genre that I don't like specifically, but I'm not the biggest fan of Westerns, I will say. But I am pretty open with my movie preferences, and I keep an open mind when watching movies. So no, there's no genre that I really dislike too much. Carlos asks, are you excited for the re-release of 2001: A Space Odyssey in 70mm 4K? Yes, I am super excited, and that's one of the main reasons, is that it was shot on 70mm film, and I think this is going to be a fantastic transfer, right up there with Blade Runner as a classic transfer. I think it's just going to look great, and cannot wait for that release. Cat asks, when do you think Redbox will start renting 4K movies at their kiosk? I actually do think they're going to adopt this pretty soon. 4K is becoming more mainstream as time goes on. I see that Walmarts and Targets are starting to get bigger 4K displays near me. Best Buy is starting to expand to a whole aisle of 4K, so I do think that Redbox is going to hop on the bandwagon fairly soon, hopefully within the next 6 months. Aegis Games asks, what TVs do you recommend other than OLED? I love my OLED, as you guys know, but clearly there are a lot of other options out there. The main thing that I would be looking for, guys, is the HDR, and you want local dimming. You want to make sure you have local dimming so you get those inky blacks, and that's the main reason I love my OLED. You want to make sure it has as many zones as possible of dimming so you get as close as you can to the blacks of the OLED. Brandon asks, what movie that currently isn't on 4K do you wish would get a 4K release? Now, I would have said Donnie Darko, but since I already said that for my favorite movie, a movie that's not on 4K that I really want to see on 4K is Avatar. I think that would be absolutely mind-blowing. The Blu-ray is reference quality as it is and looks great on my OLED. I can only imagine what the 4K copy would look like, and I'll imagine that it's going to come when the eventual sequel does come. Luke asks, what's your game console of choice? My game console of choice is the Xbox One X, and the reason for that is just because that's where my friends are. But really, as a game console, what I prefer most is sitting right behind me, and that's my PC. I have a custom order cooled PC, and I absolutely love PC gaming. I'm way more comfortable playing with a keyboard and mouse than with a controller, but I do like playing with friends a ton, so you could find me on the Xbox One X most of the time. Brownman asks, do you think Oppo quit to become the king of streaming? No, I do not think they quit to become the king of streaming. They actually mentioned that the reason they stopped manufacturing is just because the parts were too expensive. They were going to need to increase the price on the Oppo 203, and they did not want to do that. We'll see if they got into the streaming market. That would actually be very interesting to see what they could offer, and I would be very happy to see if they did that, but I don't see them going that way personally. The Ignored Gender asks, what are your thoughts on Dragon Ball Super? Also, do you watch any web series anime? I love Dragon Ball. I actually haven't been watching Dragon Ball Super, but I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. Watched it as a kid. I used to have Goku sitting behind me as one of these figures. But yes, I'm going to catch up with Super. I just have not had time to watch it yet. And other anime, my favorite anime by far is Pokemon. I loved Pokemon as a kid. I still love it now. Every new game that comes out, I pick it up and beat it. Pokemon will always have a place in my heart. House Heisenberg asks, are there any iTunes or Vudu exclusive 4K movies out there that you think are worth the buy? Yes, there are actually tons that I think are worth the buy. One specifically that I reviewed recently is Only the Brave. That's a 4K digital intermediate movie about the wildfires in Arizona, and it looked absolutely phenomenal. I wish that hit disc. It was mind-blowing. It was digitally shot. It was very clear. It looked beautiful. It definitely should have hit disc, but it didn't, so I picked it up on iTunes in 4K, and I'm very happy I did. Movie Man asks, what's your favorite superhero movie? Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a very hard one. I'm going to have to go with the original Spider-Man. The original Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, yeah, that's my favorite superhero movie of all time. I definitely have some close runner-ups. Iron Man is definitely a runner-up. Guardians of the Galaxy 1's definitely a runner-up. But Spider-Man has to take the cake. Callum asks, which player would you recommend for the best bang for your buck? The best bang for your buck, I would recommend the Sony X800. That's what I currently have in my living room, and the build quality on it is great, and you can get it for $200 or a bit lower if you find it on sale. I got it on sale for $150 back around November, and it's a great player for the price. I haven't had any issues with it, and the build quality is substantially better than that of the LG or the Samsung. And last but not least, Taylor asks, what movie are you looking forward to seeing most this year? For that, I have to go with Avengers Infinity War. I cannot wait to see that on the big screen. That movie looks awesome, and I cannot wait to see it. Anyway, guys, this video has been long as is. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down below if you did enjoy it. I'll start doing this as a web series. And let me know down below if you have more questions, and I'll answer them in the next video and do a poll as well to give you guys an opportunity to ask. Anyway, guys, have a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.